Hey everyone, welcome to the video. My name is Billy, and for today's video, I'll be giving my preview and predictions for the main card of UFC 246. Before we start, I want to stress that this is purely my opinion. It is not right, it is not wrong, it is merely an opinion. I'm a UFC enthusiast, not an expert, and all predictions that are made are based off my own personal opinion. If you're going to gamble on this event, do so responsibly. Kicking off with the main card, we have Anthony Showtime Pettis taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira in a 3-round lightweight clash. This fight is Pettis' first fight at lightweight since October 2018 when we had that incredible fight against Tony Ferguson. However, he did lose that fight, but given Tony is currently fighting for the title in April, it's not a bad loss to have on your record if you're going to have one. Pettis has racked up some good wins against the likes of Stephen Thompson, Benson Henderson twice, Mike Chiesa, and one of this event's main eventers in Cowboy Cerrone. He's coming back off a loss to Nate Diaz, and given after his 4 recent losses have each followed up with a win, if you follow the pattern, you might be thinking we're going to see a win next to the name of the 11th ranked lightweight in the world. Standing in his way, however, will be the unranked Brazilian Diego Ferreira. He's coming into this fight with a record of 16 wins and 2 losses, which includes an impressive 5-fight win streak which date back to early 2016. If he wins this fight, the Brazilian is almost guaranteed to move into the rankings of a stacked division, in which he will likely face a top 10 contender in his next fight, shall he get the win here. Diego and Pettis both have multiple wins coming from both knockout and submission, so both men definitely have tricks and skills they can bring to the cage for what is sure to be a great matchup. Both have similar weights and leg and arm reaches. Pettis also has a higher average fight time, so make of that what you want. I think this will be a really good fight, potentially a fight of the night contender, and although I love Showtime, I'm going to predict Diego Ferreira to win by a unanimous decision, in what I think will be a very close and a very fun fight. The reason I'm backing Diego is pretty much because he has this win streak going into the fight, and I think that his bag of skills might be a little bit deeper than the skill set of Showtime. Moving on to the next fight. In the women's strawweight division, we have the 6th ranked strawweight in the world, Claudia Gadelha, taking on the 11th ranked Alexei Grasso. Claudia Gadelha is a Brazilian fighter that specializes in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai, who's coming into the fight with a record of 17 wins and 4 losses from a total of 21 fights. Those 4 losses came at the hands of Joanna Jędrzejczyk twice, Jessica Andrade, and Nina Ansaroff. Given 2 out of those 3 women were previous champions, they are not necessarily bad losses to have, however they are losses, so she needs a win here to bounce back. She is coming in with a reach disadvantage, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Additionally, 8 of her last 9 fights went all the way to a decision, so it will be hard to argue against anything different happening again come January the 18th. I can definitely see Gadelha going for a few takedowns during the fight and trying to keep it on the ground in order to avoid the boxing expertise of the taller and longer Alexei Grasso. Grasso comes into the fight with a record of 11 wins and 3 losses out of 14 fights, and will look to use her boxing in order to keep the fight on the feet with the hope of outstriking and outscoring her shorter Brazilian opponent. She as well is coming off a losing effort in what was deemed fight of the night, in which she lost to former champion Carla Esparza. What this fight is really going to come down to is whether or not Gadelha can take Grasso down, and in saying that, whether or not Grasso can keep the fight standing. If the fight goes to the ground, it's going to be Gadelha's fight to lose, and if it's standing, it should be a win added to the record of Grasso. So for this fight, I'll be taking Alexei Grasso to pull off the win in the form of a unanimous decision, mainly because I think she'll be able to keep the fight standing and will be able to outscore Gadelha, in which should also be a close fight. Now moving on to the contests in the heavyweight division. which sees a matchup between Maurice Greene and Alexei Olynyk. First, we're going to discuss the 6'7" Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist from America, Maurice Greene. Greene is coming into this fight unranked, having lost his last fight to Russia's Sergey Pavlovich. However, he's coming into this fight with an impressive record of 8 wins and 3 defeats, coming from 11 fights. Beating Alexei would definitely be a massive win for Maurice Greene, as it will add a big name to his resume, and would potentially even set him up for a top 10 opponent in his next fight. Majority of Greene's wins come by way of submission, so it seems that Greene is going to try to pull another submission out this weekend. However, he is facing arguably the best submission-based athlete in the UFC's heavyweight division when he comes face-to-face with Alexei Olynyk. Olynyk is coming into this fight with over 70 MMA fights to his name, which includes 57 wins, 45 of those, or 80% of those, coming by way of submission. Alexei will be looking to get back in the win column after suffering 2 losses in a row, both of which due to first-round knockouts, coming against Walt Harris and Alistair Overeem. But now that he has had some time to recover, he looks to get himself back in the win column when January 18 rolls around. There is no real advantage when it comes to reach. However, Greene will come in with a 5-inch height advantage and will be coming into the fight weighing around 30 pounds or 13 kilos more than Olynyk. Although both could say that submissions and grappling are their most dominant skills, with Olynyk just being that much of a beast on the canvas, I can certainly see Maurice Greene trying to keep this fight standing as much as possible in order to withstand the submission skills of Olynyk. So, for my prediction, I am predicting a first-round finish that I am fairly confident with. However, when it comes to the actual winner of the fight, I sway back and forth. Although I can definitely see Greene coming out and swinging for the fences and landing a big knockout punch to the Russian opponent, my prediction is going to be Alexei Olynyk by way of a first-round submission. The next fight I'm going to discuss is the co-main event of the evening, and the UFC 184 rematch between Holly, the Preacher's daughter Holm, and Raquel, Rocky Pennington. In their previous matchup, Holm took the win via a very close split decision. In this fight, Rocky will look to avenge this loss in a vital match in the women's bantamweight division. This fight is not only important as it is the 3rd-ranked Holm versus the 5th-ranked Pennington, but the winner will either set themselves up for a title fight against Nunes or a number 1 contenders fight against Aspen Ladd later in the year. Holly Holm comes into this fight with a 12-5 record and coming off the back of a title fight loss to Amanda Nunes. Holm will look to use her kicks and her cardio to her advantage during this fight as she looks to return for a 6th title fight before she retires. Both fighters come from a boxing background, however Holm does have that kickboxing style in her back pocket that she can pull out. When you combine Holm's boxing and kickboxing records, you get a total record of 47 wins, 10 draws, and 3 losses from 60 fights, which is a crazy record to have when it comes to combat sports. Holm looks to use this fight as a stepping stone back into the title picture, and will hope that this fight stays standing come January the 18th. Pennington, on the other hand, comes into this fight with a 10-win and 7-loss record. 5 of her last 6 fights have also gone to a decision, so it would not surprise me if this fight is anything different. Pennington will try to use her strength and potentially even some grappling skills to try to win this all-important matchup. This fight, however, I do see going to the Preacher's daughter. So, in saying that, I think Holm will win via a unanimous decision, mainly due to her superior boxing and kickboxing. Additionally, I'm going to predict that Holm will get another title shot before the end of 2020. If you're still with me, thank you for sticking around. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. But before we conclude this video, it's time to talk about the main event of the evening. A 5-round fan fantasy matchup between the former champ, the notorious Conor McGregor, and the record holder of the most wins, finishes, And after this contest, the most fights in UFC history, Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Today we're going to talk about the 4th ranked lightweight in the world, Mr. Conor McGregor. Despite still being ranked 13th in the pound for pound rankings, McGregor comes into this fight having not fought in 16 months and not having a win in over 3 years. So this fight is going to be a good indication to see if he still has the passion and skill to stay at the top of what is already a very stacked division. He does, however, have wins over some of the UFC's best, with wins against Poirier, Holloway, Aldo, and Diaz. McGregor is almost 100% going to try to keep his fight standing as much as possible and land the massive left punch of his. Although he's been in a lot of trouble recently, he's still a massive fan favourite and one of the biggest draws the combat sports has ever seen. With an impressive record of 21-4 heading into this fight, and a rematch against Khabib coming his way shall he be victorious, McGregor will look to get the win against the Cowboy to get his hands back on Khabib and his hands back onto a UFC title. Donald Cowboy Cerrone is coming into this fight with 36 wins, 13 losses, and 1 no contest on his record, which gives him a win percentage of 72%, a lower number compared to McGregor's win percentage, which is 84%. Although he may have 13 losses, none of those really came at the hands of a bad opponent. Cerrone will be looking to use this fight to snap a 2-fight in which he took losses to Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje. A win from this fight, in fairness, should probably translate into a title fight for Cowboy. However, if he does win this fight, I can see the UFC giving the next shot to Justin Gaethje. Whilst Conor is a striker and always likes to keep the fight standing, Cerrone isn't worried about taking it to the ground, as he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Additionally, Cerrone has racked up 17 wins by way of submission, compared to 10 coming by way of knockout. I can definitely see Cowboy trying to take Conor down, sap McGregor's gas tank and energy, similar to what we saw in McGregor's fight against Khabib. Look for this to be an entertaining fight between two fan favourites. For my prediction here, I have McGregor winning the fight by way of knockout, in either late round 1 or sometime during round 2. The reason being, McGregor seems to be extremely dedicated and motivated to get multiple fights in this year, and especially to get back into the title fight, which with a win here is almost certain. Additionally, I just feel McGregor has better striking abilities than Cowboy, and probably has more cardio in those early rounds than Cowboy. Generally, he has also dealt with takedowns well, with a 70% takedown defense rating. In saying that though, we did see Nurmagomedov take him down consistently throughout their fight. So am I completely ruling out the Cowboy? No. However, I do feel the main way he can win is by taking this fight all the way to a decision, or somehow catching McGregor with a submission. However, my ultimate prediction is a second round knockout to Conor McGregor. To summarize this video, between Anthony Pettis and Diego Ferreira, I'm taking Ferreira by unanimous decision. The contest between Claudia Gadelha and Alexei Grasso, I'm taking Grasso by unanimous decision. And in the heavyweight fight between Maurice Greene and Alexei Olynyk, I'm taking Olynyk by round 1 submission. In the co-main event between Holm and Raquel Pennington, I'm going with Holm to win via a unanimous decision. And in the main events, I'm going to predict the notorious Conor McGregor to defeat Donald Cowboy Cerrone by way of knockout as he starts his climb back to UFC Gold. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave your predictions in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I will be back to give my reactions and analysis of the event, and after that, I'll be previewing the next event, which is UFC Fight Night, Blades vs Dos Santos. Thank you for tuning in.